So hello everyone, welcome back to the second session of your introduction to critical reasoning. So I hope that you have watched the first session, which was what really critical reasoning is about. And in this particular session, we will be talking about that what kind of questions does our exam expects us from to answer. So in today's session, we will be solving some different kinds of critical reasoning questions. So that you can get an idea what kind of questions exams ask. And after this session, we will be doing those kind of questions individually. Okay. So let's see what is our first question. So you can see we have a question in front of us. Let's see what the question is. So in the United States, the number of automobiles increased significantly from 1920 to 1930. So the first information is number of automobiles have increased significantly. Now this is a fact. We have to assume this idea to be true. If it says it has increased significantly, so I have to assume yes, it has. As a result, the demand of gasoline also increased. Now there is another variable. If number of automobiles increased, the demand of gasoline automatically also increased. All right. And it is also increased by significant number. Increased significantly. Okay. However, over the same period of time, the price of crude oil from which the gasoline is derived decreased substantially. Now there is a different element. If you are saying that numbers of automobiles have increased significantly, so what has happened? You can see that demand of gasoline also increased. Automobiles increased, then demand of gasoline also increased. But on the other hand, what we are seeing that if demand is increasing, we have seen that if demand increase, price should also increase. But in this scenario, something is different is happened. Here, your number increases, number of automobiles. Number of automobile increased. Then what happened? Automatically, if number of vehicles increased, your demand of gasoline also increased. So when we know demand increases, in general what we see, if demand increases, then price of that item also increase. But in this scenario, something else is happening. Demand is increasing, but price is decreasing. So what the question is, what the question is asking us, that which of the following, if true, most help us to explain why the price of crude oil decreased? Means what is the reason that we are not seeing the regular pattern which we used to see on the day-to-day basis? Demand increases, then price should also have increased. But what was the factor, what was the another variable which impacted this factor of price and made it depreciate? So we need to look at this. So now question asks us that most helps to explain. It means that now this question wants you to this question wants you to select an option choice which provides you a reason to believe that, all right, in general demand increases, but price also increase. But some another variable, third factor came into the role, or I can say third factor came into the equation and it changed the pattern. Let's see the option choices. Now, option number 1. So, in the United States, the average automobile burned approximately the same amount of fuel per mile in 1930 as in 1920. All right. This option tells me that in the United States, what is happening? That the automobiles burned approximately the same amount of fuel per mile in 1930 and 1920. Burning fuel per mile. Automobiles are burning fuel per mile approximately the same. All right. But then also it is possible that this pattern would have existed, and it is existing in reality according to the situation, but it does not give me a reason to believe, or it does not give me an alternative cause that this was the variable which distorted the normal pattern and something else happened. So this option choice just give me an information that in 1920 and in 1930, what was happening, that average automobile burned approximate was same. All right, but it does not give you the reason that why this condition is happening. What was the reason that number of automobile increased and demand of gasoline automatically increased? But on the other hand, this price factor decreased. This price should have also increased. Okay, next option. Between 1920 and 1930, discoveries of new oil fields in the United States allow production of crude oil to increase, and increase also by over 100%. Now this option choice tells me that you were saying demand is increases. Okay, demand is increasing, but what if I say on the other hand, this demand means the production capacity have also increased. Earlier you were thinking that you have limited number of refineries who used to produce the crude oil, but in this period of 1920 and 1930, we have seen discoveries of new oil fields. And what are those new oil fields doing? They are producing those crude oil by over 100%. It means your production have automatically amped up by over 100%. It means that it can give me a reason to believe that, all right, in normal scenarios, if demand increases, price also increases. But what about production? If production have also increased by over 100%, then there is a possibility that price might not increase. Your demand is also increasing, but price might decrease because of the third variable, which can be production. Because we have find new oil fields and allow production of crude oil by over 100%. So it might give me a reason to believe that, all right, this could be a reason that this third factor came into the play and it changed the pattern of the equation. Okay, let's check the other option choices, then I will compare. But from option A and B, B gives me a reason to believe, but A does not tell me anything. Option C, United States oil producers exported significantly more crude oils in 1930 than they did in 2020. Now think about it. You are saying the country means the United States, they are exporting more crude oil in 1930 compared to 1920. All right, you are producing more this crude oil, but does it give me a reason to believe that because of this export the price have increased or price have dropped down? No, it does not tell me anything, because we have a normal pattern. Normal pattern is there is a demand. All right, if there is a high demand, automatically price will also increase, which happens in general. But what about the third factor, which rather than increasing the price caused the decrement in price? And it cannot be the export of crude oil. I cannot say the export increased significantly, so this is the reason price decreased. No, it does not give me a reason to believe that this might have happened. Next option. From 1920 to 1930, the number of refineries that could produce gasoline from crude oil in United States increased substantially. Now, this is something which we already know. How? Because we know demand of gasoline also increased significantly. If demand of something increased, then I can have a reason to believe that the refineries, the number of refineries could possibly produce, means I can see that there is an increment in number of refineries. But increment in number of refineries does not give me a reason to believe that this is the factor which caused your price to decrease. This is the general term. One event happened, so because of this event something else might have happened. Okay, but this does not tell me that idea, because in the last lecture we have talked about the factor of logical implication. Logical implication means something A is happening and it is logically possible that that factor A might have caused the another factor B. Those are logically connected to each other. Those are called logical implications. But here I cannot believe this idea to be true. Next, in the United States from 1920 to 1930, it cost less per barrel for the large oil company to produce crude oil than it did for small oil company. All right. Think about it. Now you are comparing. Comparing what? In United States, from this timeline, 1920 to 1930, it cost less per barrel for large oil companies to produce crude oil than for the smaller. Now you are comparing large companies with the smaller companies, and you are saying that those large companies, sorry, I have large companies and small companies. You can see I have large company and small company. Now what is happening? Oh, I can write it like this also. We believe that when you have large company, what is happening? My cost, the factor of cost. What is happening to the factor of cost? You can see that it costs less per barrel. It cost me less per barrel. But when I say small company, what happens? It cost me more per barrel. Now I am giving a comparison between the companies. If you have larger companies, it will cost most per barrel to them, and if you have larger companies, it will cost less to them, and if you have smaller companies, it will cost more to them. But then also it does not give you a reason to believe. What reason to believe? Reason to believe the idea that because of this factor of cost, with factor of cost, that smaller companies are charging more. It means smaller companies have to pay more for this per barrel, and larger companies have to pay less for per barrel. And because of this factor, the third element, which we are seeing the different element, which is number increased, demand also increased, but on the other hand, price decreased. No, it does not give me a reason to believe this idea to be true. So this factor is irrelevant. It does not give me a reason to believe, because I need to look for something which gives me a reason to believe that, okay, if this is the situation, a third factor came into the play, and that factor have altered the normal course of action. Here, no, the course of action is, if your number of automobiles are increases, then demand must also have increased. And if demand is increasing, in general, we see the course of action as price should also be increased. But here what is happening? Here the product, it means here the price is decreasing, which have altered your course of action. Now, what was the reason? So option number third tells me a reason that the factor this price decreased is because of different factor, which was the production. What production did? We can see in the same time period, we can see that in 1920 and 1930, we have a new discovery of new oil field. All right, it means discovery of new oil field, then there is a increase in production, and production also increases by over 100%. Now it gives me a reason to believe that, all right, this might be a factor of production, which have caused your price to decrease rather than increasing. So my correct answer will be option number C. Now you can see this question. What this question really expects from you. The scenario was simple. If you look at logically, the scenario is simple. What is happening? You can see there is the United States from 1920 to 30, there is a significant increase in number of automobiles. In general, what happens? If number of automobile increases, then what happens? Demand of gasoline also increase significantly. But on the other hand, if demand is increasing, what we generally know, if demand is increasing, price would also have increased. But here something else is happening, that rather than increment in price, my price is decreasing. Now you need to tell me what is the reason that caused that decrement in price. It means there is a different factor which came into the equation and altered the course of action. Now you need to choose from the 5 given choices which option tells me a different course of means a different factor came into the equation and altered the course of action. There is only one choice C, which tells me that there was not C, sorry, this was B. Yeah, B, that new in 1920 to 1930, what happened? New oil fields in the United States were allowed production of crude oil, and then the production just increased by over 100%. It means more than double or almost doubled. So it gave me a reason to believe that, all right, if automobiles also increased and demand of gasolines also increased, but then also price may not increase, they might decrease because you have now more crude oil to produce. It means that it gives me a reason to believe there is a possibility that, okay, these factors came into the play, then this situation is possible. All right. So this was one of the question based on logical implication. Now, this is something which you have to understand, because it says most helps to explain. When it says most helps to explain the situation, it means something which gives you a reason to believe that in reality things usually work this way, but now there is a different course of action. Things have altered. What was the reason of this alteration? You need to look for that fact. All right. Okay. Let's move to the next question. So this was one of the questions which was based on something which gives you a reason to believe, based on logical implication. Now let's move ahead. Okay. Now, in critical reasoning, we have one of the common kind of question which we call the strengthen the argument. What is strengthen the argument? Strengthen the argument means something which gives you a reason to believe on the author's conclusion, which basically increases the persuasiveness of the author's argument structure. That is called the strengthen the argument. It means that you have to support author's conclusion. You have to support author's point of view. Now, supporting does not mean it could be 100% supporting the argument. Support or strengthen means if you are supporting 1%, this is also a strengthen. Strengthen does not mean you have to completely support the argument. By any factor, if you are supporting the argument, it is automatically getting strengthening. Okay. Now let's understand the question. Okay, let's see. The teachers at Wildwood High School plans to begin using a math teaching method that has been shown to be much more effective. All right. If this method is effective, then the method they currently use. Okay. Clearly, the math performance of Wildwood High School student will improve. Now, author have concluded the idea that performance of these Wildwood High School students will improve. Maths performance. This is the conclusions of the author. This is the author's opinion. He believes that because of this factor, things are going to work. What was the factor? What the factor was? There was a new plan. Means the school has new plan. What was the plan? That they plan to begin using a math teaching method. What was that math teaching method doing? It was has been shown to be much more effective. It is much more effective compared to the method they currently use. Now there is a comparison. We have comparison between methods. What are the methods? Methods means there is a method which they use currently, and this is the currently used method, and now they have a new method. Now you have a new method. Okay. What is the difference between these two methods? According to the author, if you use this new method, this method will be much more effective. Effective in what? Effective in increasing the math performance. It means author believes that. Now, this situation is like this. This situation is like this, that I have a goal to achieve. I have a goal to achieve. What is my goal? My goal is to improve the math performance. Improve the math performance. Okay. My goal is to improve the math performance of students. Now, how can I improve this math performance according to author? According to author, we have a new plan. What is the plan? Now you have a plan. What is the plan? Plan is that we have much more effective method. All right. So now I have a new method. New method. What does this new method do? It tells me that it is much more effective. This is more effective. All right, this is more effective. Now, author believes that implementation of this new method means my plan, which is the implementation of this new method, it will directly support my goal. Directly support my goal means, what was my goal? Improve the math performance. Now, let's look at the option choice, which gives me a reason to believe that, all right, when in reality, when you use this method, automatically the student's performance will increase. Okay, this is what the support or strengthen means. Here, option number A. Teachers at the Wildwood High School have been teaching math using the current method for over 5 years. Now think that. This tells that how the teachers are teaching the students. How teachers are teaching the students. All right. But we know that they were teaching the students, means we know that there is a current used method. This is something which we already know. This tells me that teachers have been teaching math using the currently method for over 5 years. All right. We already know this information. That's why we want to improve the performance by using or by implementing the new method. So this is something which I already know. And strengthen does not mean that something which you already know. Think about it. Something which you already know, how will it support what you want to prove? It does not strengthen the argument. This is something which you already know about yourself. Next, the teachers at the Wildwood High School, okay, do not plan to change the methods they use for teaching reading or science. Now, am I talking about reading or science or improvement of math performance? I'm looking for the factors or the method which can improve the math performance. How can I compare that method that it will also affect or not affect, or school wants to do or not wants to do improvement in reading or science? This is an irrelevant idea. It does not make any sense. So it is completely absurd choice. Next, most of the students at the Wildwood High School attend almost all of their math class. Now this is a nice choice. How? Because it says that most. First of all, most represent majority. We need to focus on these kind of words. Words like, let me write it. Whenever you have words like all, most, some, many, you need to be careful, or it could be no or none. You have to be careful. For example, you can remember them like this. You can remember them like this. All represent 100%. All represent 100%. All the students in the school. It means all the students. There is no exception. So 100%. When I say most, what does the most means? Most means it most represents more than 50% or more than or equal to 50%. Most means you are now representing the majority. It could be 50 or more, or rather I would say, think it like this, it is more than 50%. It would be easy for you. It is more than 50%. More than 50% means now you have the majority. All right. Some can be remembered like this. It means at least one. But it does not represent the majority. When you say there are some people, some means you have at least one people. But now it could be more also, but it does not represent the majority. So it is easy for me to remember sub means at least one. Okay. Many. Now many comes between some and most. When I say most means more than 50%, some means at least one. Now whatever the part in between is, it talks about many. So many means this has to be, there has to be at least two persons, more than one. At least one means a little bit more than at least one. So it has to be minimum two. It has to be minimum two, but it has to be less than 50%. It cannot comes into the majority. This is what many means. In general, when we talk about most and many, we consider them to be same. But in CR, in critical reasoning, we have to focus on these kind of words, because they tells me what these are the words which can make a difference while choosing the option choices, and we will look at it. None or no. No means 0%. You are not including anything or anyone or any item, any person. So you need to focus on these words: almost, some, many, no. Whenever these kind of words come, be cautious. Okay, be careful. Next. So option C says that most means majority. Majority of the students at this Wildwood High School attend almost all of their math class. Now think about it. If number of students does not attend the your means if majority number of the students does not attend the class, does not attend almost of their math class, and I am talking about specific math class. If they do not attend the math classes, is it possible for me that I can improve their math? Until or unless a student does not comes into the class, it is irrelevant for me that whatever strategy I am using, I cannot improve his maths. So it gives me a reason to believe. I can support this idea by this argument that, all right, most of the students in the high school attend almost all of their math class. If they attend almost all of their math class, then okay, now I can say students are coming to the class. Now I have a reason to believe that my strategy will be effective. Now strategy will be effective and their math performance will be improved. Think this question like this, that let me give you an example. Let me say that we are an institute, and at our institute, whoever the person works, he is good in health. Okay, you are saying that someone who works, or let me write it for you. You can remember this idea or understand it by like this. The one who works in my company The one who works in my company is good in health. Let me say I have written this idea. The one who works in my company is good in health. All right. How did I say? Because there are two facts on the basis of this which I have told this. First fact, that you can write it like this. First idea. Okay. Doing yoga is good for health. Doing yoga is good for health. All right. Then I say our company provides yoga classes. And on the basis of these two facts, I have concluded that the one who works in my company is good in health. The fact was doing yoga is good for health. This is the fact. Next, our company provides yoga classes. This is also the fact. But I have concluded that the one who works in my company is good in health. On what basis I am saying that the one who works in my company is good in health? It means that I am assuming this idea. I have an assumption, mandatory assumption. What is the assumption? I am assuming this idea that most of the people who work in my company, I can say majority of the people who works in my company attends the yoga classes. Now think about it. If this is not my mandatory assumption, and if this is not what author believes to be true, then can author conclude this idea? Not at all. So think about it. Is it the same condition as the earlier one? When you are saying that you have a method which is more effective, it means that you are assuming that implementation of that method might improve, or implementation will clearly improve the math performance of the students. It means that you are assuming that most of the students, or majority of the students, they attend almost all of their math class. Because if they do not attend, how can you say that their scores will be improved? It means that it gives this support to my conclusion. It gives an support to my conclusion. All right. So this could work as this option number, your C, could work as a strengthener. But let's first check the other choices as well, because I have to choose the most strengthening option, because it is said most strengthens. A and B are out. C could work. Option D. Historically, the math performance of the Wildwood High School students have been higher than national average. All right. Now you are saying historically their math performance of this school is higher than national average. Now think about it. It is already higher than national average. But it does not mean something is higher cannot be improved. Their performance is higher. Let me say that if national's average score, if I can write it here, if national average score is 45 marks, 45%, okay, and this, which one? Our Wildwood High School's average, this is 50%. Now implementing the alternative method, or the more effective approach, can improve this 50% also. It means it does not give me a reason to believe, or it does not support my argument in this form that if something is higher than national average, it cannot be improved. It can also be improved. So it does not support my argument. Next, for some Wildwood High School students, doing homework thoroughly is more important for their math performance than learning in classroom. Now this choice is doing the opposite. You need to say that my this approach will be effective, means the math teaching method, the new math teaching method will be much more effective in improving the performance. But this option is choice is doing opposite. It says me that doing homework thoroughly is much more important. Now you have brought another factor which says that rather than learning in the classroom, doing homework is much more important. How can this idea support the argument that new teaching method will be effective in improving the performance? So it does not have any effect, or rather I would say it is doing the opposite of what I have to do. So I have only one choice, option number C, which tells me that the math teaching method, the new math teaching method can improve your math performance more effectively. All right. It means that strengthen means something which gives me a reason to believe that whatever author concluded, I can support that idea. And how did I supported that idea? Here you can see. Means this was the same idea like this example. Example was simple. If a company claims that the one who works in my company is good in health on the basis of two facts. What was the first fact? Yoga is good for health. Second, our company provides yoga classes. Now think about it. If the person working in the company or the majority of the people working in the company, they do not attend the yoga classes, can their health be improved? Can a company make these kind of claims? No, not at all. So this question was based on the same idea that the mandatory assumption was majority of the people who are working there, they must have attended the yoga classes. So similarly in here, majority of the high school students attend almost all of their classes, because if they do not attend the class, any strategy won't work. Your teaching method won't work. So this was the question based on strengthening the argument. So we have done two questions. One was based on the logical implication. This question was based on the strengthen the argument based. So in critical reasoning, we see they strengthen the argument as a common question, common type of question. Exams usually ask strengthen the argument, weaken the argument, these kind of questions. When we will be doing specifically strengthen type questions, then we will in detail study about all of them. What are the approaches? What are the elements we need to look for? What are the methods? How can we propose the idea? We will look for all of those things. Okay, next. Now we have one more choice. We have one more question, not choice. Let's see. This says that in the past, most purchase of the automobiles prioritize performance over eco-friendliness. Now, okay, automobiles prioritized performance over eco-friendliness. It means you are telling your priority. Okay, and priority of whom? The most of the purchase. It means most of the people who are purchasing the automobiles, they are prioritizing performance over eco-friendly. Okay. However, in the recent year, the percentage of people choosing the purchase of most eco-friendly automobiles available have increased significantly. Now, something different has happened. In recent years, what is happening? The percentage of people choosing what? The purchase of most eco-friendly automobiles available have increased. Earlier, what was happening? They were choosing performance over eco-friendliness. But now, percentage of the people who are purchasing the automobiles, eco-friendliness is also increasing. Okay, we don't know about the performance, but we know most of the people are purchasing eco-friendly vehicles. Okay, And this increment is also significant, increased significantly. Not 1, 2, 3 vehicles. It is significant. Significant means majority, most. A good number. Okay. So now author concludes on the basis of these two facts that therefore it must be the case that more people than ever prioritize eco-friendliness over performance while choosing the automobiles. Now author have concluded that now it means the preference, the priorities and the preferences of the people have changed. How? Because more people, author have concluded, more people than ever what prioritize eco-friendliness over the performance. Scenario is simple. Earlier what people used to do, they used to prioritize performance over eco-friendliness. Okay, so earlier performance was the crucial factor over eco-friendliness. Eco-friendliness. Earlier this was more important compared to this option choice. This factor means the factor of performance was chosen by the most of the people. But now over the period things have changed. What has happened? Percentage of people choosing the eco-friendly automobiles also increased significantly. Alright, now this percentage eco-friendliness, this has also improved. Purchase of this eco-friendliness improved. Now author concluded that this change which we are seeing, it happened because of that now people shifted their priorities or changed their priorities over, means they moved from your performance base to eco-friendliness base. So author concluded that it must be the case that more people than ever prioritize eco-friendliness over performance while choosing the automobiles. It means prioritization factors changed for the people now. Okay, now what question wants us to do? It says that which of the following, if true, would cast the most doubt. Cast the most doubt means now you have to weaken the argument. Weaken means in strengthen, I have to support the author. I have to improve, or I have to give a support to the author's persuasiveness. But in this case, that persuasiveness effect, I have to reduce that. It means now I need to tell that there might be something else because of this factor could have happened, or something, anything which have altered the scenario. You might means the author might have missed a fact that tells that whatever you are saying is not in reality the way it happens. You might have missed something. This is what weaken means. Weaken means to reduce the persuasiveness. Now weaken does not mean to destroy the argument. Weaken means to reduce the persuasiveness. Now weaken means if you reduce 1% the persuasiveness, then also it is weakened. All right, let's see. Automobiles are on average more eco-friendly than they were in the past. Now, you are saying automobiles now are more eco-friendly than they were in the past. But this option choice says that the prioritization of the people changed. That more people than ever prioritize friendliness over performance. Okay, but does it give me a reason to believe that it weakens the argument? Now you are comparing the idea that earlier it was less eco-friendly, now it is more eco-friendly. But how does this weaken the argument? It does not have any effect on the argument structure. Option number B. In general, public transportation is more eco-friendly than even most eco-friendly automobiles. I am talking about eco-friendly automobiles. I am not talking about public transportation. Now you have introduced a new factor from which I am comparing the idea. My comparison is eco-friendly vehicles. I cannot compare it with the public transportation and eco-friendly vehicles which are automobiles. I was comparing to them, comparing the performance and eco-friendliness factors. How can I introduce a new transportation method which is public transportation? It does not weaken the argument. It has no effect on the argument structure as well. People are generally more aware of the ecological effects of automobiles than they were in the past. Okay. Now you are saying awareness of people have what happened? Awareness improved. Awareness, or I will say in awareness increased. But increasing the awareness would weaken the argument structure. It might be possible the people's awareness increased, but then also it is possible that the factor more people than ever prioritize eco-friendliness of over performance. Then also it is factor. It does not weaken, it does not counter the argument. It does not give me a question or to raise a question on the author's conclusion. It is possible people's awareness increased, but then also it is possible that people now have started prioritizing friendliness over performance. It does not counter the argument structure. I need to reduce its persuasiveness. This option choice does nothing. A large percentage of people consider durability the most important quality of an automobile. Now again you have introduced a new factor. Here we are talking about performance and eco-friendliness. You are introducing a new factor that a majority or a large percentage of people consider durability. All right, they consider durability. It is possible that then also this situation which author is saying it could be true. It does not counter the author's claim. Option E. Currently, many of the most eco-friendly new automobiles are also the highest performing new automobiles. Now look at this option. You have seen a change. We have seen a change in prioritization of what? Prioritization of performance over eco-friendliness. And we believed that now people are purchasing more eco-friendliness over the performance. But what if the new kind of vehicles, which are many or most eco-friendly new automobiles, are also highest performing new automobiles? Now, these most eco-friendly automobiles comes with high performance, or they are also the highest performing vehicles. It gives me a reason to counter the author's claim that the factor you were saying that means the factor of eco-friendliness was the reason we have seen the shift in change. But in reality, no, it doesn't work that way. There was the factor differently. What was it? That currently most of the eco-friendly automobiles also come with the highest performing, means also are the highest performing vehicles. It means people have not shifted their point of view from performance to eco-friendliness. That these new eco-friendly vehicles are already high performing vehicles, so people might have moved to them. So whatever I was concluding, it gives me a reason that now I can counter the author's claim. It reduces the persuasiveness of the author that we have shifted from the performance to eco-friendliness. But no, in reality, it doesn't happen. Earlier we were working on performance, means earlier we were prioritizing performance over eco-friendliness. Later we have seen increase in percentage of eco-friendliness vehicles. So we believed, or the author believed, that now people are switching, or they are they have changed their priorities from eco-friendly, from their performance to eco-friendliness. Now they are more attracted to eco-friendliness. But in reality, this option choice says me that now the highest performing vehicles, they are also eco-friendly. It means it gives me reason to believe that now their priority have not changed. They are still prioritizing high performance of automobiles, but what is happening? Those vehicles are also those vehicles are also eco-friendly. It means it gives me a reason to believe that this author's claim is wrong. It means this option choice weakens the argument. Option number E. So you can see you have 5 choices and only one choice, option E, weakens the argument, cast the doubt on the argument structure. On the other hand, other option choices are talking something about something else. One talks about the public transportation, which was not included. Another was the durability, factor of durability, it was not included. Other was based on some comparison from past and present. Those does not weaken the argument. So we have only one choice. Clear? So we will also solve weaken the argument type of questions, and I will also tell you how we can tackle these kind of questions when we will be doing particularly weaken the argument questions. Okay, this is just an introduction for you to get an idea that what kind of questions critical reasoning have and how do we approach these kind of questions. What are the factors we need to keep in mind? We are talking only about those kind of factors. Okay, now we have one more question. Okay, now we have some information. What does information here is? Let's see. Now this is very important. This idea is really very important when you are doing critical reasoning, because most of the students, what they do, whenever they see a new information in the option choice, they completely eliminate this option choice without understanding its logical implication. Sometimes author might present new information in front of you, but it might have logical implication or it might correlate to the argument structure. So we do not need to just eliminate the option choice if it does not relate to the option or it does not relate to your paragraph. We need to first look at its logical connection. What is the flow of thought? We need to focus on it. Let's read it. What is it? So many people get the impression that they should robotically eliminate any critical reasoning answer choice that brings new information that is different from what is discussed in the passage. Now, many people do that, but I have just told you doing this without understanding the information is completely wrong. When asked why they eliminated such answer choice, students say things like, what are the things? These are the common thoughts of what students really think about. First, author never said anything about this, about the ands in the argument. Now, there might be any argument structure, and let me say they have introduced a new factor of ands. Let me say the information was about B, but author have introduced a new factor of ands in the argument structure. Now people starts to say it was not discussed. But what if there is a common element which connects somewhat to both the species or both the animals or species? It means that I cannot just eliminate because the passage is about B and I am talking about ant. No, you have to first understand, is it really irrelevant or it have some logical implication? We need to look for it. Next, this answer choice brings the new information. This is what many people say. But they can bring new information. Bringing new information is not a sin. Bringing new information is not at all a sin. It could be true that the author have introduced new information, but new information gives you new factors, new reasons to believe. But we have to look, does it really relate to the argument structure? Similarly, what does the Mediterranean Sea have to do with Lake Michigan? How do they are related to each other? You cannot, until or unless author have mentioned some irrelevant aspect of both of these two. You have to completely read and logically understand the flow. This answer choice seems off the topic. This answer choice came out of nowhere. This answer choice is out of scope. I cannot say all these things until or unless there is no logical connection. These choices will only be relevant when we have some logical connection. Okay, so we need to focus on those. Now, you cannot eliminate just answer choices because you don't see any connection. Again, I am saying, please be focused whenever you are reading or whenever you are looking to the choices, because just to eliminate the choices like these it is called ignorance. Because in the class 1, I have talked about that critical reasoning is all about your vision. How broad your vision is, how much your scope is, your range is, how much open you are to the information. Okay, so you have to be open to the choices. I will read it, I will try to understand it. If it relates, I will keep it. If it did not, then I will eliminate. Simple. Don't create any bias. These are not related, these does not seems to be any implication. First, please read it. Please read it patiently, then we will talk about them. Now, sometimes eliminating an answer choice that bring new information that was not discussed in the passage does not make sense. In reality, it happens. Many times it happens, like in the earlier question. This bringing of new answer choice, this reading or science. This was a new information, we were talking about maths, but they bought the new information reading and science. Here particularly it was irrelevant. But what if somewhere differently it affects the argument structure? Then we cannot say it is completely irrelevant here. So, for example, in answering an inference question, inference question will always ask you that now what you can infer. Now there you will always have new choices. We will talk about them also, but in inference particularly you will see a lot of new choices. Now, if you will apply there these kind of approach, you will automatically get confused. So, whenever you are choosing an answer choice, be open to all the options. Give them respect. Give the respect to each and our answer choice. If it works, we will keep it. If it do not, we will eliminate it. So, we cannot eliminate an answer choice simply because it brings new information. And this is the hook of this slide. This is the hook. You cannot eliminate just that it brings the new information. You need to understand the flow. You need to look at its logical implications. You need to look at all the factors, that how variable A and variable B are connected. Though they might not be correlated, but somehow they are related to each other. You need to understand this idea. Then only things will work for us in proper and structured manner. Next. Now we have a question. Let's see what the question is. Okay. Again, most seriously weaken. This is a weaken type question. Weaken means, I have talked to you about, means in the last question also I have said, reduce the persuasiveness of thought. Okay. What is happening? Over the past year, brown bears that inhabit in nearby mountains have been coming into the town of Silverton more often. Now this is a fact. They are coming more often. You cannot say they are not coming. When authors say they are coming more often, they are coming. This is a fact. About a year ago, 3 farms in the town began producing honey. Okay. Which brown bears find irresistible. It means they love the honey. So therefore now author have concluded. Now this is also a fact. You cannot say that brown bears, they do not like this, your honey. Brown bear finds irresistible what? The honey. This is also a fact. Now author have concluded that it must be that brown bears are coming into the town more often to consume the honey these farms produce. Now, what is happening? Brown bears inhabit the mountains that have been coming into the town of Silverton more often. They are coming. But what is happening? About a year, 3 farms started to produce the honey, and brown bears love the honey. They found it irresistible. Okay. So author have concluded because of this honey, these brown bears are, because they want to consume this honey, they are coming into the town more often. Now what is happening? Author believes that honey is the cause and it have some effect. And what is the effect? That the brown bears come more often. So basically this is a condition of cause and effect relationship, that because of this honey, they are coming to the town more often. Now think about it. Question says me that weaken the argument. Weaken means something which gives me a reason to believe that whatever you are assuming a cause, in reality that cause might not be the cause. There might be an alternative cause. If there is an alternative cause, it weakens the argument. Or I can weaken the same argument structure by reciprocating cause and effect relationship. Means something which I assumed cause was in reality effect, and which was effect was caused. Or there might be some third variable which causes your cause and effect. Which causes your cause and effect. So you need to understand, how can I weaken the argument? There are multiple ways of weakening the argument. Find alternative cause, find alternative effect. Might be cause and effect are not related, which we seems to be related. There are many factors. So when we will be doing weakening question, we will be looking at all these ideas in proper and detailed manner. But for now, let's keep it in mind. Okay. So we know this is in cause and effect relation based question. Cause is that honey is causing these brown bears more often to visit the town. This is what the circumstances are. Now let's see what is happening. We have to weaken. Now option A. 1 year ago, a number of farms in the town began growing blueberries. Okay, a favorite fruit to brown bears. Now look at it. It have provided me a different cause. That you were thinking honey was the cause. But also in the town, there is a new factor, which is your blueberry. Now think, you can see nowhere in the passage blueberry is mentioned. It means this is a new information. And in the previous slide, I have told you, we cannot just eliminate an answer choice simply because it brings new information. New information does not mean you can completely eliminate the answer choice. You have to think about the logical flow of it. Like blueberries, these blueberries, honey means your brown bear loves blueberries. This is their favorite food. It means it gives me a reason to believe that it might be possible that no, not because of the honey these brown bears are coming. Means the cause was not cause was not the honey. Cause might be your blueberries. So this could work as a weakener of choice. Okay, let's check other options as well. Then I can compare. But A weakens the argument. B, people living in the town have grown increasingly nervous because of the increased presence of brown bear. Now, how does it weaken? People are becoming nervous because of the presence of brown bear. Presence of brown bear, okay, and because of it, people are becoming nervous. Does it tell me that that brown bears are often coming into the town more often to consume honey? People might get what? Nervous, but then also it could be true. It does not weaken. People might get nervous, they might not get nervous. How does this affect that honey is the cause and effect is there are more often coming? It does not affect this relationship. I need to look at something which says me that your cause effect relationship, which you have assumed it was honey and they are more often coming, this is being disturbed by this answer choice. I need to find an answer choice like that. So option B does not tells me that this relationship disturbed. See, over the past, no more mountain lions have been sighted in town than they were sighted in the previous year. Okay, it is possible they have not seen the mountain lions, which they earlier used to see. But how does this impact? This information also brings new information, the information about mountain lions. But now think, I can eliminate this option choice because it does not affect the logical flow, which is my cause and effect relationship. It does not disturb anything about it. So I can eliminate this. Now you can see these two choices, option A and C. They both bring new information, but this answer choice impacts your cause and effect relationship, but this answer choice does not have any impact. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Be focused. Does means a new option choice or a new information does not mean it is completely irrelevant. So option C does not make any sense here. Option D. The owner of the town's honeybee farms have reported seeing brown bears opening their beehives to eat honey within. Okay. Now they have seen it. The owners have seen these brown bears eating the honey. I have to weaken that honey is not the cause, and it does not cause means honey is not the cause. There might be some other cause, or there might be some another effect which is happening. You are supporting that they have seen. All right, they have seen. But how does this weaken this idea? Not at all, it weakens. Next, brown bear find honey irresistible. This is something which already know. Brown bear loves, they find it irresistible. Okay, because it is high in both sugar and calories. Why do things that they require in order to maintain healthy and weight? What does this option choice tells me? Now look here. This option choice tells me that why brown bears, why or brown bears like honey. I need to weaken. I need not to answer this that why brown bears like honey. I do not have to tell this that why, what is the reason they like the honey. No, I need to look that there is a cause and effect relationship between honey and the brown bears are coming more often to the city. And honey is the cause, and because of this, the more oftening things means more often the brown bears are coming. That is the fact. It does not in any circumstance impact this cause and effect relationship. So you can see I have only one choice, option number A, which gives me a reason to believe that the cause which you were assuming honey was not in reality the cause. It might be the blueberry. Now, most weaken. Now, this option choice does not contradict the argument structure completely, but it raises the question on the validity of the author's conclusion. And weaken does not means I have told you that destroy the argument. Weaken means raise the question. If you have raised the questions on the author's opinion, on the author's conclusion, you have weakened it to some extent. And this is what we have to do. So we have only one choice which weakens the argument, which is option number A, and as well option A brings new information in the new information in these situations. So please be focused. Please look at the importance of each and option choice and do not just eliminate because it brings new information. You have to look at the thought and the flow. Okay. All right. Now we have one more questions. Okay. What the question is? So let's see. Again, it is the most strongly supported. Okay, what is it? The country of Virodia has until now been barely self-sufficient in both meat and grain. They were barely self-sufficient in what? Meat and grain. Greater prosperity there has gone hand in hand with steadily increasing per capita consumption of meat. Okay, and it takes several pounds of grains used as to feed to provide 1 pound of meat. Okay. Per capita income is almost certain to rise further, yet increase in domestic grain productions are unlikely. What the situation really impact, and how does it means what does it really teach? Look, here is the scenario. What is happening? We are talking about a country, and what is happening here? We have barely seen. Now we have barely seen that country was self-sufficient in both meat and grain. They were not self-sufficient in both meat and grain. So what was happening? But greater prosperity, it means it might be their economic conditions improve. Greater prosperity came. They had gone in hand with steadily increasing per capita consumption. Now per capita consumption means per person consumption. Per person consumption of meat, and it takes it. Okay. Now you have increase in consumption of meat. First of all, already you are not self-sufficient in both meat and grain. Now, because of the prosperity, you have a different effect. As people became more prosperous, what happened? Their per capita consumption of meat also increased. All right. And it takes several pounds of grain to use feed to means it takes several pounds of grain used as feed to produce 1 pound of meat. Now to produce 1 pound of meat also, you have to feed several pounds of grains. And already I know that I am not self-sufficient in both the what? Your meat and grain. First of all, I am not sufficient in both of them. Next, to produce 1 pound of meat, I need several pounds of grains, and I'm not sufficient in both meat and grains. It might be possible people have become prosperous, but then also I need to believe in that is this idea that we are, or the city or the state or the country is not self-sufficient in both meat and grain. People there might become prosperous, their consumption increased of the meat, but then also they are not self-sufficient. Okay, then what is happening? Per capita income is almost certainly to rise further. Now, this is also reason, means this is also an idea which I have to believe. Author have mentioned in the passage that this is also going to rise further. Your per capita consumption, your per capita income is almost certainly to rise further. You are already more prosperous. Now your income is also going to rise further. Okay. Yet increase in domestic grains production are unlikely. It means I know we won't see any increment in production of grain. What we are not going to see? People are now going to become more prosperous because their incomes are almost certain to rise. But then also there will not be an increment in domestic production. It means grain production. We won't see any increment in them. And I know you need grains, several pounds of grains for 1 pound of meat. I need several pounds of grains for 1 pound of meat. It means grain is the hook. I need grain to produce the meat because per capita consumption of meat is increasing. Now, and this is also the fact I know, if people are becoming more prosperous, the more they will consume. Okay. Now, which of the following is the most strongly supported by the given information? Now, which of the following choices I have to choose that gives me a reason to believe that this situation might work? It means, what can I infer? Because most strongly supported, I need to look for that choice. Okay, let's see. Option number A. What does option number A tells me? Some land in your country of Erodia that is currently used for grain production will soon be turned into the pasteurizing for grazing cattle for meat. Now think about it. I already know that I need grains. Now you are saying some of the land is currently used for grain production. You will convert it to grazing cattle for the meat. Now again, first some does not means majority, and it does not give me the reason to believe that okay, those land will be sufficient to feed those cattle for the meat. It does not give me a reason to believe. Then how can I say that this choice will means most strongly support the argument structure or the given information? I cannot say that, because some does not means the majority, and it does not give me a reason to believe that situation above, that your per capita consumption of meat needs are going to be fulfilled. No, because your incomes are going to rise further. If incomes are going to rise, it means you are going to consume more. But I don't see any thing here which tells me that I will have more production, because increase in domestic grains are not going to rise. Production is unlikely. It is not at all going to rise. So I need to look at a concrete answer which gives me a reason to believe that above situation might work. So option A does not tell me anything. Option B. In the future, per capita income in Virodia is unlikely to increase as rapidly as it has in the past. But think about it. It is possible the rate of increment is not same. Earlier, the rate of increment, let me say 10%. It was 10. Now it could be 8%. But then also, per capita income is increasing, and if income is increasing, consumption will automatically increase. Then this option choice also does not give me a reason to believe that I can satisfy above needs. No. Next, in Virodia, the amount of grain it takes to produce 1 pound of meat is likely to increase in coming years. Now, okay, first I know it takes several pounds of the grains for 1 pound of meat. Now you are saying that that amount is also going to increase. Okay, that amount is also going to increase, but your grain production is not increasing. Then how will people be able to consume more meat? Because if it is already know their per capita consumption increases, means I know that greater prosperity there has gone in hand with steadily increasing per capita consumption of meat. If your prosperity improves, your consumption also improves. Or I would say your consumption also increases. Now I already know their incomes are going to rise. Now I need to look at an option choice which tells me that their demands will get fulfilled, because it says that most strongly support their demands will get fulfilled, because already I know I cannot increase the domestic grain production because it is said to me. Now this option choice tells me that the amount of grain it takes to produce 1 pound of meat is likely to increase in coming year. All right, it might be likely to increase, but then also their demands or their consumption are not going to get satisfied because they are becoming more prosperous. So it does not tell me anything, or it does not give me a reason to believe that things will work this way. Next, grain is soon likely to make up largest proportion of the average Herodians died than ever before, but grain productions are not increasing. It might be possible that it takes the largest proportion, but you are not increasing the domestic grain production. Then how will you satisfy their needs? How will you tell that their consumption needs, per capita consumption, are going to work? I cannot say. It is possible that this might become the larger proportion, but what about this relation which they have mentioned? Greater prosperity has gone hand in hand with steady increasing of per capita consumption. If consumptions are increasing and your this prosperity is increasing, then if in the later scenarios we know incomes are more going to increase, it means they are going to consume more, and this does not tells me that their needs will be satisfied. No, not at all. Virodia is likely to become an importer of grains or meat. Now, this option choice, grain, meat, or both. This option choice tells me that their needs might satisfy. Because if you import grain, only import grain, only grain, I can use this grain to feed the cattle or domestic animals. So I will increase the meat production. If I import only meat, then automatically I will improve my meat consumption for the people. Means people will have more meat then. If I import grains, then also people will have more meat. If I import only meat, then also people will have more meat to consume. If I import both, then also people will have both the things to eat. It means that it gives me a reason to believe that, all right, if this situation works, then the above scenario which you are saying might also work. It means when I say something which gives me reason to believe, or I say something which tells me that it is most strongly supported, Most strongly supported means both above information and below information, they must satisfy each other, or the above information provides or means an option choice which tells me that the given option choice gives you a reason to believe that above condition might work. So this is most strongly supported by the information. So we have only one choice, answer number E, because it gives you a reason to believe if you import more grains or more meat, both things work. Your consumption of meat also improves, means you have more meat, your consumption will automatically be satisfied. If you have more grains, then you can feed it to the cattle and the domestic animals, then you will automatically have more meat also, because means for the it was said that it takes several pounds of grains used to feed. So you have the grains to feed, because I already know I cannot improve or increase the domestic grain production. Otherwise, I would have done that. So, but I have no choice. I cannot improve that, and I have to satisfy needs, because this per capita consumption and both means your per capita consumption and your prosperity both goes hand into hand. So I need to look for the option choice which tells me that all right, the above scenario can work if this condition follows. Okay, so this was one of the questions which also critical reasoning works. Okay, so these were some of the questions which today we talked about: strengthen, weaken assumptions. Okay, and your inference based argument, logical implications. These are some common type of questions. Now in the next class we will talk about, means in the next session we will talk in detailed manner about each and every type of questions. Means I will start with the assumptions, and then we will do all a type of assumption based question. Then we will follow with strengthen, weaken in the same pattern. And I hope that you might got the idea what we are going to do. It's okay. So I request you that at least you watch this session 2 times, so that you get a better idea of what I have told to you. And please also watch the earlier session if you have not watched, because you won't then, this session won't be so much helpful for you. Okay, so that's all for the day. Thank you.